Hey, this is Pops hanging out here. I figured I'd hang this thing up here, and I think I'll do a short of this as well. Yeah, you can't read that very well? Is that better? No? I doubt I can do it from the other side. That's why I did it this way. Because I have to reset up all this stuff and then get it to work. But it's possible. And I can't reverse it now. But what I did here was I broke down the different decimal equivalents. So I'll let you listen to me read them off to you. And then you'll know. Okay? Now this is important because I've heard people on here continuously asking sizes, putting a picture on Facebook page and saying, what size is this bolt? I don't know. You gotta be nuts to be asking. Oh, it's sliding. Okay, here we go. You ready? I gotta put these back on, so put up with it. You got your writing utensil out? It's not hard. Ready? I got one here. It's an Olight. Andy of Farming, Fixing, and Fabricating recommended Olight stuff. I got the short pen. The refills on these things are huge. You ever see this? I mean, look, see, there's my thumb, there's the pen, you know, my index. It's a little guy. It's just enough pen to, I mean, just enough pen. I've got a big palm and semi-short fingers. Look at this thing. Huh? It's like the old Parker and Papermate refills. Huge! Oh, I can see my thing is sliding back. Let me get this back together. Okay, here we go. First time I've had that apart, I do believe. Simple mechanism, just... There you go. It's got a pretty good little notch to sit in. So even if you're wearing the plastic off, it ain't going nowhere. It's been great. I've had them for a few months now. All right, here we go. Let me set this up. Got your writing utensil? Let's go. Paper, pen. There you go. If you can't see, you get the Olight flashlight. Yep. It's very simple. On, off, fits in the pocket. It's beautiful. Anyway, their pocket clips are removable. That's been handy a few times. Anyway, you ready? Okay, 1/64th. 1 over 64, right? 0.015, 15 thousandths of an inch. Can't get any simpler, can you? It's actually a little more, I think, like... Now, let me check that one, because I think I missed a digit. How do you do that? You bring up your calculator, and you have 1 over 64 is 1 divided by 64. Yes. 0.0156. That's more than enough. It rounds off to 16 thousandths. Well, that's not precise. For majority of what you're doing, a 64th isn't precise, is it? Get over it. It just gives you a rough idea of how things measure out. Okay, 1/64th, 1 over 64, 0.0156. 1/32nd, double the size of a 64th. That's right. How do they do that? 1 inch. Cut it up into 32 pieces. 1 of the 32 pieces. 64, cut an inch, 1 over 64. Cut an inch up to 64 pieces. Put one of them in there. 0.0156. That's right, 0.0156. Roughly 16 thousandths of an inch for 1/64. 1/32nd, twice the size. Excuse me. Some of you are catching on. 0.03125. Now that'll be interesting later on here because that number moves a decimal place and becomes another size. Okay, 1 over 16, 1/16. Smaller number, twice the size. It's like caliber in your shotgun. 0.0625. That number is going to sound familiar later as well. 10 times larger. 1/8, 0.125. 1 over 8. Split an inch up into 8 parts. Take one of them, 1/8, 0.125. 1/4 inch. Now you're down to only 4 pieces of 1 inch space. 0.250. That's excuse me. If there was anyone to remember, that's one of the very common ones. 1/8 and 1/4 constant. All right. Now, yeah, some of you are catching on. Yes. 1/64. If that's all you had was something a 64 thick, a lot of your valve measurements are on that, and magnetos. Okay, 5/16. Oh yeah, break it up into 16 parts, 1 inch, and take 5 of them, which is a common size. Remember I said there was 1/32 would sound familiar? Take the 0 out, 0.3125. What's that mean? 1/32. Take your size up to 5/16. It's 10 times larger. Now you're into tenths. Yes, I am. But you were working with 16ths and 32nds. Yes, I am. Essentially, you're converting from several different base systems back to base 10. That is correct. We'll get to it in a minute. 3/8 of an inch, a very common size. Wait a minute, we did 1/8. That is correct. Multiply that by 3 times. What do you got? 0.375. Interesting, isn't it? 1/8 of an inch was 125. Think about it. 0.125. Triple each one of the numbers. There you are. It works. 1/2 inch. I'm just going to jump right over some of the others because you've got the basis for them. 1/2 inch is common. 0.5. That's it. Half. 0.5. Because now we're operating in tens. 5/8 of an inch. Another common one. Yes, there is another size in between. We're going to stay here. 0.625. Wait a minute. 1/2 inch is 4/8. Add another 1/8. 0.125 becomes 625. Maybe some of you are catching on now. 3/4 of an inch, another very common size for all kinds of stuff. 0.75. The 1/4 was 0.25. Make it 3 times. It becomes 0.75. And then, of course, there's 1.0. There they are. Figure them out. And the simplest thing is you have 3/4 of an inch, 3/4, and there's the expression 3 divided by 4. And that's how you come up with point, because you have to go point. 4 does not go into 3. There's nothing you can multiply by 4 except by a decimal. Okay, so 3.0. Now you can put, now 3 becomes something like a 30. So now you got a big enough number, you can put 4 into it. If you put 4 in there 7 times, you have 28. Now you have 2 to get rid of, don't you? There you go, got 2 to get rid of. How are you going to do that with 4? Wait a minute, you have to add another 0. You're going backwards, adding zeros. Excuse me, it's not a direct multiplication, so it's less than. So now you're on the point side. You got 2. Put another 0 in there. Becomes 20. Well, what do you got? Wait a minute, you have a 4 by 5, 20. You come up with, leftover is 0, which means you've taken the entire number. So 3/4 of 4, 0.75, 3/4 of 4, 3/6. That's how it works. That's how simple this is when you're working with engines and such, thousandths of an inch, and you're reading over here that the drill bit is this, and you're trying to match. Now, I'm going to give you another one. Okay? You've got your system over here, correct? Okay. Let's go metric. 1 millimeter, 0.1 millimeter, and 0.01 millimeter. You'll look at this in a minute and I'll read it out to you. Okay, now this isn't exact, but it is very close. Millimeters, 1 millimeter, 0.03937. Remember that. Memorize it. Don't forget it. What about 0.1? Add a 0. You see up here, you're talking just under 40 thousandths of an inch. So in your general, not engine rebuilding specifications, but in your general specifications, that converts. It converts very well. So you remember 40 thousandths, 0.040, converts close enough when you're just making distance measurements, like you're measuring clutch linkage and stuff. It's similar. Or just general gaps of things, or hole sizes, or whatever. It works so close that you'll be fine. This one, however, is interesting. Now you went from 40, you took a tenth off, now it's 0.0039. Now you're into 4 thousandths of an inch, 0.004. And if you round it up, it will be 0.004. 4 thousandths of an inch. You'll see numbers like that for valve adjustments all over the place. And you'll go, 0.1. How in the world am I gonna? You already know. Well, wait a minute. It's 20 thousandths. How does that convert into? I've got 0.5 of a millimeter. Yeah, you do. 20 thousandths, because it's half of 40, right? You're in the ballpark. It works very well. What's the other one? Yeah. Now you're into, instead of 0.004, 4 thousandths, 4 10 thousandths. You're out another. So you're talking something that's so minuscule that it doesn't make any difference in general specifications and in basic engine rebuilding. 4 10 thousandths is rarely a problem ever anywhere in basic engine rebuilding. Now you start talking even street performance, that's something to look at and consider. Oh, I got a flout. Bannon's War Room is starting at 10:06 a.m. this morning on Rumble. Steve Bannon and Company, and I can't get the notification off my cheap Verizon phone that cost me $800. I think I'm still paying for it too. 2 years later. So anyway, that's some of the stuff I wanted to get through today to show you folks that I did the other one on waves. The one there that I did on full wave, full rectification, is very difficult to do because you're trying to turn the negative side and flip it into a positive, which kind of can be done because you're talking potential difference, but it's difficult to actually. And what you end up doing is in an alternator, you have 3 phases, and the idea is to put all 3 phases on one side, and that's how you can get rid of your, how can you say it, your downsides, reduce your ripples, so that the variation between each one of the waves is so small that the electricity flowing doesn't even notice it. Even on your DC buzz boxes, you still have AC coming in, so you will hear the buzz. When you're welding, it's still going to be smoother, but it's not pure DC. With some of the purists, well, I used to work with a pure DC machine. And if you worked with one that's a generator model, motor generator, oh, I had a Lincoln. My brother decided that he wasn't going to cover it up as he promised and left it out 6 months in torrential downpours and through the winter. He said, don't worry about it. You're busy. I'll take care of it. I said, you sure? Yeah. I lost it. It's gone. And it's in the scrap now. No doubt about that. Yeah, well, after he died, his wife was guaranteed. She's a spiteful, hateful human being. If she perceives she didn't like something you said, even though you were correct, honest, reasonable, and loving about it, she doesn't like it, you're screwed. That's how that works, but Christians, you know how they are. Wait a minute, you're a Christian. Yeah, I am. It's certainly a different variety. Although I might enjoy Baptist preaching, I don't enjoy the majority mainline Baptist people. What's that got to do with numbers? Actually, more than you would think, but we'll let that go for now because only a few of you will know why I was talking about the differentiation between these things. There's sometimes you have to allow it. So remember, when you're working with numbers and you want to translate, excuse me, you have a fraction, divide it. When you don't have a fraction, how do you go back the other way? Well, then you start using charts. And it works out well. You know, your old drill and tap charts, they'll be in there. But if you start from a basic principles here, you can sometimes work backwards to figure out where it is. Start from 1 inch and then go through the tenths method down through there. You'll have a rough idea of reversing it backwards. How? Well, just say you're working with eighths. Well, I've got a tenth number here, a point something. Yeah. Well, you've got your choice because we either work in eighths or sixteenths or quarters. So 10 is in there, and you've already got an idea, don't you? You've already got an idea where it falls in that category. Why? Because you have the breakdown of the bases that you're working with. Quarters, eighths, sixteenths. Well, it's closer to eighths, so now you know that if you're working with a tenth, that if you were to break up that 1 inch in 10, it's smaller than an eighth. It's that simple. You say, well, yeah, but no, you're working with averages here. You're measuring sticks, your linkages and such. It becomes much easier when you break things down into approximations. And when you do, and you figure out where you are, now you can go back to your system here, and if you have to, and you got 0.310 and you want to know where that fits into the category, well, start playing with your fractions, right? Start doing your, 3 divided by 32. Okay, it's not a 3/32, is it? And keep going in that fashion. Deb's home now, I got to hang up. Hope that helps you. See you.